is happening, Magnus sides? Get on over to the drinker. Subscribe, tell them Tyrone Magnus sent you. Let's see. The Flash No Way Home for DCU? That could have a couple of meanings there. That almost sounded like his laugh when he talks about Tatiana. Let's see. Yeah. Come on, man. Why not? There we go. Okay. All right, let's get it.
One of the annoying things about moving into a new house is that there's usually a few odds and ends left by the previous owners that you have to deal with before you can start making your own mark on the place.
Lord.
Those broken picture frames gathering dust in the attic, the rusted old lawnmower left behind in the garden shed, or that suspiciously large bloodstain on the bedroom floorboards. Oh wait, maybe that's just me. But this clumsy little analogy brings me not so neatly along to James Gunn and his takeover of the wildly out of control oil tanker that is DC on film. Yeah, he's announced a whole slate of new projects that'll theoretically be commissioned under his tenure, to the excitement of literally dozens. Tell me, on a scale of 1 to Captain Marvel 2, how excited are you for Creature Commandos, or Waller, or The Authority?
You will respect my authority!
I mean, Warner Brothers seems to change creative directions more often than I change my underwear, so whether any of these ideas will actually come to fruition is anyone's guess.
What am I? Let me see. I am Captain Marvel 2. Skeptically optimistic. Is that what it is? Cautiously optimistic. Is that what it is? Because I know that Gunn can perform, but we're just gonna have to see it. It's kind of like, all right, you're scrapping everything else and going back. So, going back and starting anew. So, all right, well, let's see what you got, kiddo. That's what it's like. I know the Flash movie has got Zack Snyder's direction style written all over it. So, I don't. Whatever. Let's continue.
But the point is that whatever Gunn's grand plans might be for the future, the one thorny little hurdle he has to get over first is the legacy projects due to come out this year. Basically holdovers from a now defunct universe that everyone at the studio has to pretend to get excited about until they've finished their theatrical run, and then they can drop them quicker than a needy, overweight ex-girlfriend. Shazam 2, Aquaman 2, and of course, The Flash. A movie saddled with a controversial star who, if the headlines are to be believed, spent most of the past couple of years as part-time cult leader, part-time domestic abuser, and full-time fucking Fruit Loop.
That
you big lantern-jawed bug-eyed...
That makes my eyes cross looking at that.
Endlessly delayed by pandemics and expensive reshoots, and ultimately rendered obsolete by a complete Studio 180. You're gonna have to go some to make this one work, Flash. But hey, we finally got ourselves an official trailer last night, which begins to go some way towards explaining what the hell this movie's even supposed to be about. So let's lift the lid on this one, shall we? The movie follows nobody's favourite superhero, Barry Allen, better known as The Flash, a guy whose main superpower is his uncanny ability to annoy the fuck out of anyone he's talking to.
They have like a rhythm that I haven't.
I knew he was gonna show something from this scene.
Like brunch. What is brunch?
I mean, run really fast. Fast enough to break the barriers of time and space itself. Something that was hinted at way back in the days of Batman vs Superman, in a scene that made about as much sense as Vin Diesel comparing the Fast and the Furious franchise to Lord of the Rings. God bless you, Vin. Never change. Anyway, in this case, the Flash comes to the realization that everything's a bit shit in his world these days, and if that's not a veiled reference to the absolute state of the DCU, then I don't know what is. So naturally, he hits upon the idea of using his powers to travel back in time and alter past events to fix the present. Because, going back in time and tampering with the flow of past events with no idea of what's going to happen has never had disastrous consequences.
I completely broke the universe.
Oh Barry, you silly sausage you. Now ask yourself a serious question, dear viewer. What could possibly be more insufferable than Ezra Miller? The answer is, of course, two Ezra Millers. seriously, whatever writer came up with that particular
God,
plot
every
must be
time I
questioning
see
the
that,
purpose of his own existence.
messes
at this
with my
point.
eyes.
So it looks like Barry done messed up and prevented the creation of metahumans in this new timeline, and now he needs help to get things back on track. And wouldn't you know it, help may just be at hand.
I'm Batman.
Now, if there's one thing, and one thing only, that may prevent this movie from being a 2-hour snore fest, then there it is, standing before you. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, even a jaded asshole like me felt a tiny thrill of excitement at seeing Michael Keaton back in the Batsuit again.
He looked old and tired being in the suit. I can't lie. He looked old and tired. And that part where it shows like the Batmobile and the bats flying, that CGI looks wonky. It looks almost fan made. Kind of like, even with some of him flying around, looked like it needed to be enhanced a little bit. I mean, I was still excited, but you know, I mean, I'm always gonna tell you the truth over here on this channel. So, the trailer looks like it's gonna be epic, but you know, certain things need to be fixed.
But then there was also another part of me that couldn't help thinking, this is the movie that brought him back? It would be like seeing Robert Downey Jr. come back as Tony Stark in season 2 of She-Hulk. I mean, it could have been worse, I guess. He was originally meant to show up in Batgirl, and God only knows what that movie would have done to him, but I can't shake the feeling that the studio were very much aware of the fact that Keaton's the only thing selling this movie, so they've made the absolute most out of him in the trailer, possibly even overselling him, you might say. Oh yeah, and there's also an appearance from Supergirl. Remember Supergirl? The star of one of those abandoned DC movies that got shit-canned by David Zaslav because he was smart enough to realise that nobody was going to replace Superman? Well, I hope she enjoys her time in the sun here.
Even that looked a little wonky from behind with the cape flapping in her
Based on my
feet.
limited understanding of the thinking behind this movie, The Flash is intended to do for the DCU what No Way Home did for Marvel, bringing together different versions of the same characters from different realities to combat some larger threats. There's even a subplot about the main character having to lose someone they love in order to set things right again. Whereas Peter Parker had Aunt May, Barry Allen has his mum. And just like in No Way Home, the real selling point here is in seeing your favourite actors playing the role one last time, interacting with each other in ways that never would have been possible before. It's basically just a gimmick, and the thing about gimmicks is that they tend to get old pretty quick. Like seriously, how many Batman do we even have in circulation right now? There's Batfleck, an actor who was underused and underappreciated by DC almost as badly as Henry Cavill. There's Robert Pattinson's Batman, who's moping and brooding his way through his own separate universe. And now Michael Keaton's version is making a comeback. That's 3 different variations of the same character in active circulation at the same time.
Tell you this, I don't really mind because it's like the comics. You know what I mean? I'm a purist to a point when it comes to comics, and just because they did it in the comics doesn't mean it's good. Never say that as your rebuttal or excuse. Just because it was in the video game, just because it was in the book, just because it was in the TV show, it doesn't mean it's good. But a lot of times, it does. And I don't mind all these Batmen, personally, being all around at the same time and doing their different things. I don't mind, as long as it's good. Long as it's good. So, except for Clooney's. Although I did hear a rumor, and they debunked it apparently, that Clooney was going to be in this. If Clooney came back and they vindicated him, I'd be fine with that. If they had some type of side story or whatever, I really wouldn't mind. Hopefully, though, as Jeffrey Dean Morgan's Thomas Wayne Batman is in this. He should be, since they seem to be doing Flashpoint in some different kind of way. But if Clooney was also in it, I wouldn't care as long as they did him some justice, because he knows his Batman was bad. But Clooney, I think Clooney could have done it justice. He really could have, if they have written it right. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, whatever.
Not to mention whatever new version James Gunn eventually decides to bring in.
Yeah.
And instead of complimenting each other,
Batman,
it
right?
feels almost like they're in competition, each vying for the audience's loyalty and approval, with no clear idea of who's meant to be Well, the main one. The other major...
Yeah, I see that as bad and good. What's interesting is that, the companies a lot of times have different, Spider-Man comic books at the same time. They have different Batman comic books, Wonder Woman comic books, and Superman comic books, all doing a different version or something similar, or they're at different ages, or they're going through different things, different storylines. And as long as you own them all, if you're putting out different storylines, I don't care. So I personally do not care as long as they're good. And maybe you can sit back and relax and let the audience figure out who's going to be your main DCU continuity, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, whatever. While at the same time knowing the direction you're going in. You understand what I'm saying there? Sometimes people do that. They kind of, they switch up. I don't know if Robert Downey Jr. was meant to be the centerpiece of the Avengers, because Iron Man isn't the centerpiece of the Avengers normally in the comic books. I think that he just did such a great job, the way he played the character, the way it was written, the way that it fell into place like that. You get what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. Something like that.
Difference here is that No Way Home was built around the extremely likeable character of Peter Parker, played by an extremely likeable actor in Tom Holland. The Flash, unfortunately, doesn't have either of those things. Not only is the character of Barry kind of an insufferable arsehole that feels like he's trying way too hard to be funny and quirky, while coming across about as natural and charismatic
Go
as
bigger eyes
Larson
get right
at
there.
first.
That was cracks me up.
Moving outside the scope.
I was literally thinking about that the other day. I don't know. You want me to come back? I was like, that was so funny. Like, that right there showed everything she was fed up with the fandom and everything she had been going through. Which is funny and not funny to me. Like, she said some stuff that pissed people off. And at the same time, she was part of a woke movement that was driving most fans nuts. So, that's a shitstorm of stuff to deal with. And I'm never for that. Never for attacking people on that. But I just knew, especially when she said about the whole, I don't know, like, what is it, white men judging the movie or making the movie for them. I don't know what it was, but I was just like, as soon as I was just like, well, she have to deal with that one for a while. And then with Captain Marvel being what it was, and Lord. But anyway, I was like, yo, if she don't come back, I wouldn't blame her. The fans always told me, yo, you understand, Captain Marvel in the comic books is really cool. It's just this whole movement that they made her the centerpiece of, it ain't working. And the way they're writing the character, and Brie didn't help with some of the stuff she said, so it's just kind of like, I was like, oh boy. They should have started it out with Marvel and then went the whole storyline and eventually brought her in. But whatever.
Of the movie, I'd also class Ezra Miller as a massive liability after the fun and games of last year, and the fact that there's two of them in this movie just means twice the irritation. Honestly, I get the feeling that if the studio had invested less money in this movie, or it was at an early stage of production, they probably would have Batgirled it into oblivion without a second thought. As it stands though, it's basically a giant, expensive turd that they've been holding in as long as possible, and now that they're finally touching cloth, they've got no choice but to squeeze it out, hoping against hope that it doesn't crack the toilet bowl on the way down. Here, and this movie will turn out to be the best thing that DC have ever produced, which ironically would present an even bigger problem.
Right here, touching cloth. That is one of the most hilarious things that I have ever heard. Like, we have certain American phrases that are funny, that are probably extra funny to people that are not American. That's one of those for me. Oh my God, when I first heard him say touching cloth, I was rolling. It was like when in whatchamacallit, Austin Powers, when he was like, I got a turtle head poking out. Oh my God, I was like, do people really say that? Oh God.
Problem for them in the long run, because if these 3 legacy movies from the mothballed DCU end up becoming massive hits, then how the hell are they supposed to put it behind them and launch James Gunn's new version? I've got no idea, and quite frankly, I don't care, because it's not my job to fix this shit for them. Because quite frankly, they made this rod for their own back, so don't expect me to feel bad for them when they start getting beaten with it.
Hey DC, just do this. I've said it so many times, but I'm just gonna keep saying it. No pressure. I'm just, voicing my opinion. And I mean that, no pressure. Just voicing my opinion. Just do it like you do the comic books. The comic books, how many Batman comic books are there out there? I don't know, like 6 or 7 of them, probably more than that. Like, you've got all these, you can have separate stories, going on. Just please all the fans. Put all your woke stuff in one particular series or, series of movies. Put all the stuff that most people like in one. And then, like, everybody has what they want. It's like I can go see all the Snyderverse stuff and all the James Gunn stuff that I want. And then you can do the woke J.J. Abrams Superman and all that other stuff. You can do all that stuff. I don't have to go see that, but I can see all the other ones that make me happy. And I've got my Superman. And you know what I'm saying? It might actually be pretty cool, experiment to see what happens with your movies and see what type of fan base you build for each one. That's how you do the comic books, do the movies the same way. Just have different ones going. When you're marketing things, make sure that people understand that this is a separate universe. As long as you're marketing it properly, people will know. You know what I'm saying? Anyway. Just a thought, since you got so much stuff out there, go full steam ahead and you'll be able to throw everything at the wall and see what works and what doesn't work. And then you'll know, and you'll make money off of all of them, and you'll know which ones to cut, definitely, instead of like, should I do this, should I do that, let me see, bring Henry Cavill back, Black Superman, James Gunn's new Superman. Do all 3 of them. Do all 3 and see who wins. And while everyone's getting pleased because everyone's got something that they want to see, you'll find out which one you're really making money on. And you make your decisions. You make cuts. Like, the woke Superman isn't doing too well like everyone already told us. But we put it out because we wanted to please some people. And now we'll either cut it or we'll make budget cuts. We'll give it the CW treatment, but we'll still have it out there for the very, very minor fan base that wants woke Superman. You know what I'm saying?
But either way, I think it's going to be fun to watch this play out. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Oh boy. Thank you very much for your take on that, drinker. I'm right there with you, man. I see eye to eye with you on this, and yeah, it's kind of like, well, I thought as you were going through it, I was like, you know what? They don't know what they want to do. What if the Flash ends up being extremely popular and people want more Batfleck and then they probably cut out Cavill's Superman. Hopefully they didn't, but I don't know, man. I would love to see him in there. People are writing all types of rumors in the comments. Oh, he was killed as a baby by Zod, or I don't know. They just took him out, period, because they fired him. I don't know what in the hell they're doing. God, I would love to see Cavill's Superman in this. Whatever, man. But post comments down below. Let me know what you all thought. If you enjoyed my thoughts and reaction on the Drinkers content, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and share. 10 million subscribers. Woo!